in a war, whatever.
At least to agree to one or two.
It's on Arabia.
Yeah, I've been frozen. Well, events were happening. The initial report was that the US was looking on the side of Iran to be the major, financier and probably the architect behind what had happened in Gaza. But again, the news also came again that they are not very sure that Iran was involved in this. And you and I said, oh, maybe it was just a diplomatic take on this particular one before we go into the main issue.
Just like 𝗪𝗁 𝗪𝗁 said, it is a Syria war, which is going to still go for a very longer time with the body language of the big guns in the world. Look type of steps. This shit is especially
biggest that was a man that has a lot of local problems.
Brag like
he has a lot of local problems he's dealing with, and now this has come. And I can also see that Biden too is going to take some slaps, whether anybody likes it or not.
On the contrary, I think for both of them, this event is a booster.
For both of these two leaders, with some of the lowest ratings,
because it's going to be a distraction.
From the real issues around them,
the internal problems of Benjamin Netanyahu, and of course, he's a war hero. He's going to use this opportunity to crack down so heavily on the Palestinians.
You don't know, but psychologists, I'm actually from the point that look, there are questions as to how the entire Israeli intelligence could have failed.
No, I agree.
And even the American intelligence could not have helped. This is the biggest attack in the modern era.
Of course, this can
on Israel.
This can happen. I mean, people have always asked, how did the 9/11 happen in America? How come the CIA, the FBI, and all the security,
all the intelligence,
how come nobody picked these guys who were learning to fly in the US? How come nobody? You understand? But the truth was that, of course, some intelligence were picked up, but never it got lost in the bureaucracy. By the time the facts are fully out, we discover that maybe they got the information, the Mossad got the information, but they felt that the sheer enormity and the scale of this operation
could not have happened.
So somebody dropped the ball somewhere. But I can tell you, this is going to help Benjamin Netanyahu
and Joe Biden.
And also going to help Joe Biden, because you see, Biden came out this afternoon to say America is standing solidly behind Israel.
Yeah, he said that.
And
very emphatic about it.
Now, what he does by that is that he takes the evangelical group
on his side
with him, because that's Trump's major
political. But don't you think Donald Trump would also want to catch in on this and say, oh, if he was under me, it could never have happened?
No, but he just put out the video this afternoon. Saying that if he was in power, Russia, Ukraine war.
No, I told Nuruddin. He would say,
what happened in Israel, that the Palestinians will never attack Israel because they know what was coming.
So don't you think that the evangelicals will listen more to him?
No. What you see, the evangelicals are not going to vote for a candidate this time around based on what he says or he doesn't say. Don't forget that Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, came out the course of the week and said some horrible things that Trump had said about the evangelical group, about veterans and all groups of Americans. All this will come into play in the politics of 2024. But what is important is that, like I said, this is a proxy war. Don't be surprised that Russia is also involved. Because why is Russia doing this?
Maybe a distraction to take the eyes.
Apart from distraction, Russia, of course, Iran has been supplying Russia weapons to fight Ukraine. Russia is probably urging Iran to go to this war, and then you get other Arab nations to take on Israel to follow. And then therefore you find that there is distraction from Russia, Ukrainian.
The West will focus on this more.
So Russia is not doing too well in the war. Given the expectation.
So it's bigger than what we know.
Of course.
Okay. All right.
It's a proxy war.
Again, for anyone that understands deep state international politics, you know that this is bigger than what is happening within that geographical location. But again, we'll see. It's a developing story.
It's a game of chess.
It's a game of chess. We'll see how that pans out eventually. But let's come back to local politics, our own local issues. And I think the dominant issue throughout the week, in the past week, had to be the Chicago State University certificate problem of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as highlighted by the PDP presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. Again, we're going to be looking at this from the moral angle, the legal angle. There was a press conference. It was called an international press conference, and a lot was revealed. You know, quite a lot was revealed, and some of the things that was revealed, we'll also talk about it. We'll also look at some of the analysis around what has happened from the press conference, what the PDP is saying, what they want to do when they approach the Supreme Court. Well, it's official that are determined to remove President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from office. The presidential candidate of the PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, has applied for leave of the Supreme Court to file what he has termed fresh evidence. So officially, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and his legal team have started that process. Atiku, in the motion he filed through his team of lawyers, led by Chief Chris Uche, SAN, said the evidence is seeking to tender before the Apex Court would establish his allegations that President Tinubu of the APC submitted forged documents to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in aid of his qualification to participate in the presidential election that was held February 25, 2023. The former vice president maintained that President Tinubu, by his action, committed a twin of offenses which could be linked to forgery, perjury, and therefore deserved to be sacked from office by the Supreme Court. Specifically, Atiku sought the leave of the court to tender Tinubu's academic records, which he said were handed over to him by the Chicago State University on October 2nd, 2023. According to the motion, the 32-page documents were released by the CSU on the orders of Judge Nancy Maldonado of the District Court of Illinois, Eastern Division, United States of America. Again, too many things out there, from the press conference to social media analysts, forensic experts, everybody saying one or two things. But 𝗪𝗁 Saheed, I saw your post on Facebook, and you said, look, you've been a bit intentional about not jumping into this particular matter, and that, you know, but on this table you have to now bear your thoughts on what you think about what has so far happened. The expedition, if you permit me to use that word, or the fact-finding of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar to the US, the CSU, what he has gotten, the press conference, what his lawyers are saying, and the reactions of the lawyers of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC. What's your take? Where do you stand? And what would be your take so far?
Well, I stand on Nigeria.
All right.
I think it's important that we provide some background so people understand what the issues are. So, of course, we had the presidential election earlier this year. Ahmed Bola Tinubu was declared the winner of that election by INEC. The other candidates have challenged that declaration, and the court of first instance,
the appeal court,
which is the appeal court, upheld that election. And the matter is now on appeal to the Supreme Court. Now, some of the issues before the lower court were that Bola Ahmed Tinubu was not qualified to contest for the election. Because, one, they alleged that it didn't have the qualification. Secondly, it was also said that his vice presidential candidate had 2 nominations, and under our laws, nobody can be nominated
twice,
two positions simultaneously. Though we saw how the current Senate president, having run for president, lost again, with also made it to the Senate, as well as former president of the Senate, 𝗪𝗪. And then they also said that Bola Ahmed Tinubu had been convicted in the U.S. in a matter that he argued was civil, because he forfeited $460,000.
Those were the issues at the appellate court, the appeal court, which was the first level, yeah.
And then there were issues of rigging, alterations, and all that. But those are not what is important now. What is important now is that the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar applied through his lawyers to Chicago State University for the academic records of President Tinubu to be released to him. He did that by filing a lawsuit. Okay? Judge 𝗪𝗪 gave that judgment authorizing Chicago State University to release the academic records
to
Atiku. President Tinubu, not being a party in that suit, came into the suit as an intervenor. In other words, he sought to intervene in the suit that he wasn't a party.
Because this was about him.
Yes. He then approached the district court, led by Justice
Maldonado, yeah.
where he argued that the release of his academic records will harm him,
causing irreparable damage.
Now, questions have been asked. What are the damages, or what is the president afraid of?
And does he consider irreparable?
That he considers that the release of those records, and I want to answer this question from approaching it from two angles. One, the starting point, we must all understand that academic records all over the world are private records. I cannot even call my children's school in the US and ask them to give me their grades
without their own permission or involvement,
unless they have given their prior consent that I should be, each time I call to know, I should be given that information. Okay. Now, so that is the one position. But you see, once you go into the public square and you become the leader of the people, you become the president, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. You also become the influencer-in-chief of moral values of that society.
Yeah.
And so, if you had risen to that level of prominence, authority, and power, more is required of you. However, the president opposed the release of his academic records, citing irreparable damage to him. But the court overruled him and ordered
the release of those
documents, the records, and the records were released. Now, based on the understanding of that record by the Atiku group and the PDP, they called a press conference. And I think that press conference, if you ask me, was ill-advised.
Okay.
Because it sought to politicize
rather than be more focused.
You see, those records were required for the court to understand.
Not for the public.
You know, the mere fact that they took that in publicly, you know, suggested to me that the purpose was just to create reputational problem for the man. I don't think
more for public opinion, the public sentiments.
Because I don't think that moved the needle.
Or would have affected anything in the court.
For or against. Because if you already support the president, the cake is baked.
Well, I agree with you.
There is nothing that they will tell you today.
The supporters of the president.
Yes, there's nothing you bring today
that will change their mind.
They'll change their mind.
That's true.
If you don't support the president, this is...
You always find fault.
This is the worst thing that can happen to Nigeria. But then there's a small group of people in the middle.
Open-minded?
Open-minded who just want to know
what is the
what
truth?
Exactly happened. And so this is what they say, this is what they found from the records. I've taken my time to read through the records.
The position, the records,
They found out that the certificate or the diploma, as it's called in America, that was issued to the president when he graduated in 1979 was not the same one he gave to INEC. When he was running for president for the office.
Of the office,
Now, they said he forged because the signatories, the signature and the look and all that is not the same. But don't forget that when he appeared at Chatham House, he was asked a question that he himself categorized as being investigative or something. He used the word, which has to do with his qualification. And he said, by the way, I have gotten the replacement of my certificate.
Where? He didn't say.
Yeah, he said so. He didn't say where he got it from.
I got a replacement.
He said, I got a replacement of my certificate.
So
we suggest that at some point
he misplaced
the certificate. Now, where did he get the replacement from? Now, what I also did not mention is that the judge also ordered the registrar or somebody nominated by him
to come
and do a deposition as to the facts And I think it was Mr. 𝗪𝗪
Westberg, yes.
who appeared and testified and said, look, this is not what we gave to him. Okay? I'm not saying it's a forgery, but I'm simply saying this is not what...
It's not from us.
It's not from us. And from what we saw again, that the president also at some point obtained an associate degree from Southwest University, now Alexander Dolley University in Chicago. Based on that, he applied to Chicago State University, where he also listed his secondary school result, said to have been obtained while he was a student at Government College in Lagos.
Yeah.
Now, that result showed that he graduated from there in 1970. The school itself was not established until 1974. Now, they also said the fact that at Southwest University, he was listed as a female, not as a male. But when he went to Chicago State University, he listed as a male.
Not female.
So, again, these are
discrepancies here and there.
Then they talked about the year of birth and all that and all that. And for me, I just want to explain this to people. In America, unlike in Nigeria, emphasis are not on certificates. Emphasis, what is more important to the system
is transcript.
Is the transcript of your results. On the transcript, you see it boldly written there. Any alteration on that, I'm not saying forgery or whatever is justified, but I'm saying that certificate is not as important in America as it is in Nigeria. That is why a lot of people tend to forge it when they don't have it. Now, so let's assume for a moment that, assume and not conceding for a moment, that what the president submitted to INEC was forged.
On assumption now.
Yes. And that because he forged it, he also lied about it. So you have forgery and you have perjury. The question is, as a sitting president with immunity, can he be prosecuted?
Okay, that's one part of the law.
You understand? So if anybody is hoping that on the basis of that, he will be removed.
No. But what about the substance of that on the election petition before the Supreme Court?
That's what I'm saying. Look,
I'm taking out two issues now.
Yeah, we still don't know what the approach of the court will be.
The Supreme Court now.
Of the Supreme Court will be. But I also know that the court is also a court of public policy. Now, having said that, I think that based on my own
understanding of the
and rationalization of the issue, since Chicago State University said he graduated from the school, right? The issue of the certificate that he tendered before INEC is only important to the extent that he may, and I use the word advisedly, he may have used something that was not given to him by the school, which can be forgery and then result into perjury. But the question is, can he be removed on the basis of that? Can the Supreme Court go ahead and say, okay, this matter goes to the root and the foundation of the issue, because you cannot put something on nothing. Okay? But I think that the most important issue to me here is the results that he said he obtained from the secondary school. Because, as you know, that is the foundation for his admission
into the
university. Without that, he cannot get admission in the university. So, if that is proven to be fake,
or to have been forged,
the Chicago State University can be called upon to cancel his degree. And that was what I thought that the articles can. I don't know what they are doing. But I was thinking that
they would have focused more on that.
Go to WAEC and trying to establish the validity or veracity of that secondary school result. Now, what has been the response of the president
team
and his team? If you notice that they tried to attack the issue of the certificate from Chicago State University. 𝗃𝗏 𝗪𝗃, for instance, who is the SSA, to the president of media and strategy, simply said, the president cannot forge
what he has.
His certificate. He cannot forge his certificate. But you will notice that carefully and strategically, they are not responding to the secondary school issue.
It's not on the table.
I have not heard anybody.
But again, sorry, Nuruddin, because it's all legal matters. That's why I'm focusing on my faculties. There are people who have said that, look, on the forms he filled for INEC, it never listed the secondary school documents.
No, I'm coming.
Yes.
See, the thing is, the minimum qualification required is first school
giving certificates. Working for 10 years.
And that's what I keep saying, that nobody even needs to parade fake certificates.
Maybe people.
You understand?
Maybe there are people who didn't have primary school education.
Now, so the point is this: I am saying that if what he listed as his main qualification in the INEC form,
it's just the Chicago State University. That's all. That's what he did. Yes.
And if on the basis of the secondary school result,
are we? Sorry, these are two issues. Are we challenging the CSU certificate now or the admission?
No. Listen to me. This is what I'm saying. Now, Chicago State University has said, the school also created a lot of problems.
Yes,
they
even talked about typo errors, blah, blah, blah.
They talked about even people outside that can be licensed to print their certificate and all that.
All the conversations about third-party vendors and all that.
Now, I'm talking about qualification now. Because the only thing he listed in his form, don't forget he did not list primary school and did not list secondary school in his INEC form. So, if the Chicago State University education and certificate are attacked by using the secondary school results, okay, and Chicago State University withdraws the certificate and says it's no longer our student, let me give you an example. When we were in the university, we had a student union president who was very, very, very radical, very vocal. He wouldn't listen to it. In his final year, it was discovered that the WAEC result he used wasn't his.
Was 𝗃𝗏?
Yes. And he was asked to withdraw. So I'm saying, if it is established, because the same secondary school that he did not list on INEC, which means they probably knew something was wrong with that.
That's why so did not list it. Yeah.
But from the records obtained from Chicago State University, is there that was where he graduated from. So the
focus should have been on that.
Exactly. Because if you get that sorted out, and it's as clear as the sunlight, you can then go to Chicago State University and say,
withdraw that admission
or whatever you have issued to him. If that is withdrawn, because that's the only thing he listed in INEC,
then it means
he had no qualification. And like I said, if you notice, nobody has responded on that issue. Now, the second person that responded from the government is the foreign minister, Tuka.
Who says he's not ready for frivolous.
It's a frivolous issue. Government is focused on the issue of development.
It doesn't even affect them.
I think it's important that Nigerians understand that development and transparency are not mutually exclusive.
They work together.
I can be chewing gum and I can be making call. The president can multitask. That's why he's got a large team. I think that these issues are very, very fundamental. If not for, look, let's not even talk about the reputation of the president alone, because you understand that he is the representative of the country. The president of the country is like a candle on a hill.
The number one image maker for the nation.
Like I said, he's also the influencer in chief.
Yes.
Okay, he sets the tone. He leads by his actions and all that. I think that instead of trivializing this issue and trying to apply the bedbug theory of riding out the heat, and what I mean by that is that
just stay calm and ride the wave.
It's hot now. It's going to be cool going on. This is an issue that is not going to go away. This is an issue that is going to keep distracting the president from doing his work, and I think he needs to address it. If there is any issue that the president needs to address in a broadcast,
it has to be this issue.
It has to be this issue.
Well, again, one will assume that since Alhaji Atiku and his legal team have now approached the Supreme Court, asking to provide additional evidence based on what they now have from the CSU. Of course, there's going to be legal battle as to whether new evidence can be admitted by the Supreme Court. I've listened to more than 10 lawyers, and they seem not to have agreed on whether it's been
because
different.
a lot of precedents to either side.
Of course, I was also listening to one of the lawyers of the APC who said that, of the president, who said that, look, even for you to admit new evidence truly at the Supreme Court, there are about 4 levels that you have to cross to be able to do that. Too many legal problems as to what could have.
Why the court is the only one that can keep him in power or remove him. I also don't want them to think that this is just about the court alone. What about the reputation of the president before his own citizens? Do you understand? I mean, we've gotten judgments from court that didn't appeal to people, and thereafter look at what happened in Imo State.
Up till now, it seems to be.
Who still don't believe that he should be governor,
and somehow it's affecting the entire governance in the state.
So I think beyond the issue of what the court will do or not do, the president needs to help himself and help this country. Look at what happened in the course of the week, where all the nurses.
But what's more to be said by the president? Is it to address only that part of the secondary school?
Hold on. Everything that has been said so far on this issue, especially in the last few weeks, where he made a bounce back and start trending.
Yeah.
Has all come from those who are
lawyers, spokespersons and all that. Yeah.
Let me give you an example of how you deal with an issue. Recall that in early 2009, candidate Obama had to address an issue that was crucial and critical.
Where was
his pastor, Reverend Wright, Jeremiah Wright, said America had it coming. I said, what happened to America was deserved, and all that. That, of course, raised the issue of patriotism of Obama, a candidate, because of his association with Jeremiah. And he had to address it squarely by saying, look, he wedded me, he has married me and my wife, I used to follow him, he gave a direction to my life and all that, but I don't agree with
what he has said.
And because the country is so troubled that the president cannot have divided attention. He has to focus all the energies on governance. Now, though they are telling us that it's a frivolous issue and they are going to be focused on that,
this can be frivolous.
Yeah, we can see that's not the case. So it's high time that the president
addressed this issue,
put this matter to rest once and for all, and say, look, this is who I am, okay? The schools he attended, at least Chicago State University has said he was our student. He graduated. Here are his results.
But the background to the admission.
Yes. What about the background to the admission? Is the government college Lagos still in existence, or is it defunct? If it's defunct, you still find the record.
Then what about the inconsistencies in the dates, of graduation and when the school was founded?
Well, that's what I think is a major issue, because you see, it's like saying your mother gave birth to you before your mother was even married. You understand? Or gave birth to you before she even met a man.
Nuruddin, we've also had on the sidelines, we've discussed some of these things, and I look at this particular issue and I see a lot more problem with morality. Well, the law will be the law. At the end of the day, I'm sure we may be seeing things around technicalities and logic more than the issue of morals and the interest of the public on this particular matter. But you have also followed this particular issue. I think on the last time on the roundtable, we said that, look, from 1999, there has been issues around the president's credentials, his background, a whole lot of things. And people don't know that it's not just even his academic records, even his background, his origin. There are Lagosians who still believe he's not from Lagos. There are people who associate him with a part of Osun State.
I don't even care where it comes from.
But people feel that, look, this is a president that has too many things around him that he needs to really come clean about. But for you on this particular matter, let's just limit ourselves to talking about what Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has gotten from the CSU. let's leave the legal aspect. The lawyers will deal with that. But this issue of morality now, or what do you think the president can do really to put some finality to this issue even before we begin to talk about the Supreme Court?
Let us be frank with ourselves, whether we like it or not. As of today, is the #1 person in this country. Whatever that happens to him, it is not private, it's public. Although this issue of the appeal is about him, not about Nigeria. We must put it straight. Nigeria is not on trial. Is the one on trial.
The president.
Yes. We need to separate it. But whatever that happens to him, because he's the president as we speak. So, it is not about his private affairs alone. It is public. Then the issue of morality inside it is this. Let's take it from the angle of generality of other Nigerians, especially those ones outside the shore of this country. How will in Nigeria, in UK, in US, in other country, in conversation, even in offices, how are you doing that? Your president, that Chicago University cannot authenticate his diploma certificate. What is the answer as a Nigeria you want to give? #1. Then #2, if in the midst of presidents of different countries, what will be our image?
You think there's a problem with
then another thing again is that, don't forget, during last year, there are some certain health officials that travel to UK. Now, there is a revisitations to their result as we speak.
But I think there's been a bit of denial on that.
Yes.
There are still questions as to whether
one thing there
that was
is
mere rumor.
No, it's not. We know the number of nurses that are on trial as we speak, that move away from Nigeria. They have the certificate, they have their nursing certificate, but there are some things inside it that could not be verified.
Well, if you go out there and present a fake certificate, I don't think the president's issue would have been the reason.
Now, because
one day you'll be fished out.
But where we are now going is
Where we are not
going is this. With the situation that happens to our country, to our president now, then there will be a reference point. Then another thing again is this: as a president, even when he was a governor, I said it behind the scene that, look, let's assume that he did not even have anything. Let's assume before he became governor. Let's assume. And there are a lot of people that have been challenging that. And when he was a governor, the way politicians normally do, that can even say, come, I'm the governor of the state with your vote.
Yeah, you told me that.
That with your vote, I want a situation in which this our state university in my state, I want it to be a good reference point for everybody. I am enrolling in this particular school to go and read.
But there's a problem with that. And if you listen to Barrister Curtis, look, you can't even go to the so-called LASU, even as a state governor, without a secondary school certificate. We are now going.
I agree. But one thing there is with the one, because that one has not been challenged, at least for now, that we've known. But one thing that is there is this. Surely we know that there is no way he's not going to go to primary school. There is no way he's not going to go to secondary school. But the problem there is that maybe this one is on assumption.
Your assumption, yeah.
That maybe the name.
Information.
No, maybe the name.
No, let's just say information.
Okay, information on the primary school and secondary school was not intended with what is available now. We talk about Shamrai Phillips. His foster parents and all the biological parents. And he stick to that even upon knowing his biological parents. He's going to stick with these names of the foster parents. If that one has happened, what is he going to take the governor when he was a governor and say, come, I was raised by so people and that is the name I'm bearing. But I have biological parents. These are the names. But because of what these people have done in my life, and change of name in that particular situation,
if that was the problem.
Then another thing again is that don't let us, even if Supreme Court should give a judgment on this particular issue, either favor or not favor, this particular issue of the certificate will never go away. Don't forget, this is a president that, if it's scaled through, will be willing to go for second tenure.
I'm going to get to that. Don't let's jump the gun, because there are. I try to read through what Mr. Farouk Perogi had also done as a form of analysis on this issue, And he highlighted quite a number of things. I think a lot of them are supporting
the president.
What Barrister Curtis have said on this particular. He said, look, he's a national of the United States. He has 2 degrees from 2 different universities and he's a professor in one of those universities, and that he understands that, look, there are some ignorant comments as to the issues of diploma and all of that. That, look, as far as the US is concerned, like you said, Barrister Curtis, it's just mere ceremonial. There's really nothing to certificate and all of that.
And these are what our politicians
you can even decide not
are
to
celebrating. But one thing there is this: even if it is ceremonial, if you don't present a fake document emanated from them, you have not committed any offense.
What he is saying in his own analysis, because again, we're going to try and tie everything together. I wanted to actually talk about the press conference of Alhaji Atiku, but let's sort out the certificate issue, and then we'll talk about some of the things that he revealed in that press conference. But, you know, Farouk was saying that, look, he had thought that they would have focused more on the secondary school certificate.
Exactly. Look, you see, when I think it was here last week with 𝗬𝗏 and all that.
Yeah, with 𝗬𝗏, yes.
Listen, you can't put something
on nothing.
On nothing. That's the principle in USA and 𝗪𝗪𝘁𝘁. That you cannot put something on nothing. It will fall. Nobody starts school from university.
From the moon.
Do you understand? The fact that he saw it fit not to even include his primary and secondary school results on his INEC form is telling and striking. There's something. Okay? Now, what is that? I don't know. But the point is that he was comfortable listing Chicago State University because he attended Chicago State University.
That was clear as daylight.
The school has confirmed that. What is now the issue is that whether that certificate that was presented was what was given to him. And that's why I'm saying worst case scenario. Okay? Worst case scenario on that. All that happened is probably forgery and perjury.
Which is a criminal matter.
But can you remove the president on the basis of that? Or would the court then apply that as the foundation of the case to say he wasn't qualified ab initio?
Before you go on, there are also issues as to, look, even if you're going to introduce new evidence, because the Supreme Court is supposed to be a court to review majorly the ruling of the appeal court, that, look, at what point that there will always also be the justification to introduce new evidence by lawyers?
Let me tell you something. The Supreme Court is the highest institution within the judicial system of any country. Judges there, the justices
there,
can decide to take new evidence if they want to.
Without even any precedents.
There are a lot of precedents.
There are a lot of cases now.
All of the back and forth from lawyers.
We have a lot of
issues. That's why I told you.
It
depends on which side of the divide you are. The cake is baked in for all. If you
just put your knife anywhere you like.
You understand? The cake is baked. Nothing is going to change. Look, what Atiku brought from Chicago is not going to move the needle with those who support the president.
Yes.
And
for those who are against the president, the needle has turned around full cycle over 10 times. So
no, they have something to work on. All right, let's. I think we should just leave this certificate and allow the Supreme Court to decide on it. But something important or something very interesting in the political space happened during that press conference, and I think the people on the two sides of the divide have also been making comments as to how the press conference was handled. Some of our colleagues, I don't know what could have happened. Some of the questions they asked the former vice president were the reasons why he actually made those comments. Because I listened to the entire press conference. He stayed on point. He was only addressing the issue of what he got from CSU. But during the the question and answer session, our colleagues now started
asking the bomb.
Now started to ask political questions.
He provided the opportunity
for them to do that.
Let me tell you, if I were Atiku's political consultant, I would tell Atiku not to attend that press conference.
Not even call a press conference, right?
Even if you must call a press conference, that should have been done by his young people, his handlers. Some Philip Schreiber. No, is it Philip Schreiber or Frank Schreiber?
Schreiber, yeah. But don't you think him being at the center of that was to put weight and some substance to it?
Don't forget that Atiku did not go to court in Chicago himself to get those documents.
His lawyers did.
And I listened to the president lawyer in Chicago, 𝗪𝗪𝘓𝗪, who tended to say, well, some of these things are typographical. I also gave the example of the fact that his own children too, he had no access. That the president was only trying to protect.
They will tell the courts
that try to protect his privacy. Look, that press conference, again, I repeat, was ill-advised.
Okay, ill-advised, but let's not...
Because what it did was to sensationalize. And in the eyes of many people, the
it was more like playing to the gallery.
Yeah, and the purpose of this was just to damage the president.
Not really to get anything meaningful from him.
Do you understand? More so that at some point he had asked Obi and other candidates.
Now I was going to get there. Let me because I want to put some structure to the press conference. Now, first there was a rallying call, and people were wondering, this is your case. How has it got into a point where a Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party is in his own legal battle, fighting his own cause, with his own evidence and his own legal team and legal understanding and all of that? Rabiu Kwankwaso, I think, is just out there, really. And I don't think he's even gone to court to challenge the presidential election. So, at the point where Alhaji Atiku Abubakar said that, look, he was calling on Mr. Peter Obi and Rabiu Kwankwaso to join hands with him to salvage the nation, there were people who said that, look, this shows that, look, the CSU voyage, permit me to use the word, was not to get anything now, but was in preparation for 2027. And that what he was simply saying was to get a kind of commitment from these political gladiators to work with him, to wrestle power from the 𝗵PC. I have to quickly do a quick check on their age. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is probably 76 years old.
Yes.
So at that time, it will be 80 plus. Tinubu, 71. He probably will be in his mid-70s, according to... Again, there are always problems with age now. So we'll go with what has been declared. Obi 62. At that time, 4 years will be 66. Just close to 70. Rabiu Kwankwaso is 66. It will be 70. But let's first take that rallying call by Mr. Curtis. Was that... What would you make of that call? Because it was not, for me, it was not really relevant to why the press conference was called. But why do you think that was part of the speech or statement made by Alhaji Atiku Abubakar?
Sometimes when you become emotional and politicize logic, you then lose your core. Because to be frank with you, Atiku does not need a press conference to get Kwankwaso and Obi.
Yeah. To work with him,
for 2027. He doesn't need a press conference. In fact, these are not things you do in a press conference. You only call a press conference to announce what you have decided.
The purpose is clear.
Behind the scene. I think it just didn't come out well. What he was saying, or what he meant to say, is that Nigeria is going through a lot of problems, and people like them are also needed to join in the battle to rescue this country. And that is because he believes that the country is suffering from the worst reputational deficit at the moment because of
what he has discovered.
Because of this issue. I don't think it's 2027 that is on his mind.
Okay.
Again, politicians think of 20 years from now. Voters only think of the next election. So you don't put anything beyond politicians, but I don't think he needed that press conference.
Especially that part of it.
Yes,
okay.
The
other part of the press conference was when a journalist asked him questions about betrayal. Who had betrayed who? And that, look, there are statements from the camp of the president or the president himself that this was a betrayal from Alhaji Atiku Abubakar because he had given the platform of the ACN at that time to run for president, and that now what he's doing now is a form of betrayal. Now that's on for people who are saying the president has said that. And Alhaji Atiku Abubakar responded by, look, he is actually the one that has been betrayed now, because at that time, when he got the ticket of the party, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not support him. He was supporting the late 𝗪𝗪𝘁 Yar'Adua. And that he felt the reason why he did that was that he had sent some emissaries to him, or politicians to him, who he said were seated at that press conference, but he didn't want to embarrass them by naming them. What the current president wanted at that time was to be his running mate, and so he sent people to him. But because of the principles that he stood for, which was against a Muslim ticket, rejected that idea, and so he thought that the president was not happy, and so decided to support 𝗪𝗪𝘁𝘀, which he thought was a betrayal. We're trying to pick, read between the lines now. That narrative, that story, does it gel with you? Are there loopholes within the story, or you think it could have happened politically now?
One thing there, let me start from the angle of Atiku rallying, calling for calls to be and whatever. Look, every politician normally use that word of rallying point. If a politician wins, he will say, I'm calling all the other members, join me, so that we can move this state or this country together. So to me, anytime politician has calling for rallying points like that, it is just a political gimmick. There is nothing inside.
I think we've saw that.
Then on the issue of this Atiku and you see Atiku
betrayal,
and
no betrayal, yes.
Number one, every politician is a potential betrayer.
You can betray anybody.
Anybody. What is there? Okay.
It's just about personal interest.
It's just about personal interest. We know that in Lagos here, how Bola Ahmed Tinubu become a governor in 1999. In 2003, we know what happened between him and Afenifere. And it happens virtually everywhere. By the time their interest is different from the other person, then it's causing. Then the story, at times the political story between or among the politicians, there are something that there are some that we as journalists we may have some background
too,
of it, but there are some certain stories that both the subject of focus in that story and the object of focus in that story, they are the only ones that can authenticate some certain things. But one thing that I have to bring out of it is this: the issue of Muslim tickets,
which Alhaji Atiku raised in that
which
story.
he raised in that particular one. Can we link it to what gave Bola Ahmed Tinubu a seat that he's occupying now? Can we link it that if he's a proponent of Muslim ticket, as Atiku allegedly put it,
as at that time,
and this year we have an election,
and the same Muslim ticket,
the same Muslim ticket, can we take it side by side? That one is one. Then two, which politician that we, as we know them, who no go extra mile
to get what they want,
irrespective of religion and ethnicity, which happens to be the tools in the hand of politicians.
So what you are saying is that if at that time, presenting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a running mate would have given Atiku the victory, he would have gone for it.
He would have gone for it.
No,
and
you think he's not that principled? He said he's a
one thing there is that if any politician, politician talks about principle,
it's just a joke.
If they talk about principle, politicians about principle, these politicians of today, to me, I have to go and read this guy.
I don't know who betrayed who between Atiku and Tinubu.
No, from the stories.
But what I do know is
who do you think betrayed who here?
But what I do know is that both Atiku and Tinubu have betrayed Nigeria.
Yes.
Okay. How?
At some point, by all the promises they have made to them.
Even as the governors,
the political class, the entire political class
has betrayed Nigeria.
Has betrayed Nigeria, sir. That one is.
They are the receiving.
So we are the most betrayed.
We are the most betrayed now.
Now, but let me, between the two of them, I think that they both needed each other at the time.
At that time.
Don't forget that Atiku was being harassed by his principal, President Obasanjo then.
Yes.
At a point, even ordered that he should be locked out of Aso Rock.
Yes.
And don't forget that Tinubu at that time was the leader of the opposition.
Yes. And welcomed him.
So he needed Atiku to make a point to the president.
Because at that time, he's more political buoyant.
Yes, because the president was withholding Lagos state funds. Him and the governor of Lagos were fighting. The governor of Lagos needed a number 2 man to be in his
an ally. Needed an ally, yeah.
And he gave him that ticket. Yes, the truth was he wanted him to be his vice president.
At that time.
Yes, and Atiku didn't want. He went for Senator Ben Obi.
Okay.
And we saw what happened, that eventually the president then cut a deal with the Ariwoola camp, which was what he was
trying to say,
referring to.
As a support.
Now, as to his love for the Muslim ticket, I've said this before. No, that's not in doubt. That has been his belief and political calculation.
That's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
And I'll prove it to you.
All right.
After Atiku, the next election, okay, that he had the ticket of 𝗪𝗔 or 𝗪𝗔𝗀 firmly in his hand, who did he give it to?
Nuri Badu, yeah.
Yes.
And the other guy,
Fọlá
Adiola as running mate.
Muslim.
Yeah, Fọlá Adiola
Was a Muslim, yeah. He's a Muslim, yeah.
Yeah. Then after that, he supported President Buhari. And again, he wanted to be vice president to President Buhari.
But the reality of that time,
which he himself admitted.
That yes.
Which means
he had no problem with a Muslim ticket.
No, so far he's going to win the race for him.
No problem with it.
So
and he went for it.
So during Buhari, it was not based on principle. It was just calculation, political calculation. Okay, I see where you're coming from
and his
now.
Contribution to Buhari getting the ticket. He himself said it was Saraki and Amici that worked against him and ensured that he was not picked. That was why he recommended Yemi Osinbajo. You understand? And then in 2023, when the
opportunity now came
himself,
he now presented the Muslim.
So it was not a fluke.
That a Muslim ticket now happened again.
Yes.
So that he has been in that kind of voyage.
You understand what I'm saying?
Then
you have to be a student of history
to be able to tie these things together.
Even I've heard from some quarters that during the time of MK Abiola, because he was a very close confidant of MK Abiola, that in fact he was instrumental to MK Abiola picking King Gibe.
The same Muslim ticket.
So it wasn't a fluke. And I'm not saying he's a bad person.
But
maybe he believes.
But the thing is this. Let's look at 2023. Would you not say, well, political calculations, it worked for him?
Let me tell you. The election cycles that we had before 2023, okay, when we balanced the ticket, given the religious and ethnic sensitivities of this country, did they not win?
Maybe the different scenario now.
There was nothing different. What was different was preference.
Even the distances between Buhari and Yemi Osinbajo that brought them into power, is it no more than the one that we have now?
President Obasanjo won majority of his votes from the north.
Even as a Christian.
Yeah, even as a Christian, yeah.
One majority of his votes from the north. Jonathan, the votes that made Jonathan president in 2011,
oh my God,
majority came from the north.
So you think it was not about political calculation, it was just a matter of political preference?
Political calculation
or ideological preference?
Political calculation was part of it, but I think that was his preference. That was his core of politics. He believes that. 𝗪𝗏
also he believes in that. Anyway.
I
doesn't even hide it.
Before in Kaduna State, he used to be Christian.
Yes,
Muslim,
Christian, to balance. It has been the norm.
He came and said, look, on the basis of the data.
And he stood by it and he has always pushed it.
Yeah, and that's what is still happening there. So.
All right, we need to move to the second issue, but there's this part of the press conference I want us to address again, and it's still on this issue of betrayal. Alhaji 𝗃𝗏 said that, again, he had done a lot to the president, and that, look, there was a time the PDP, the tsunami of the PDP was sweeping across the entire Southwest, and that, look, he was the one that prevailed on his principle to say, look, leave Lagos. Leave Lagos out of the tsunami. And that, look, that enough should show that, look, the president should be more indebted to him. There are two issues from that. No. What people are saying is,
you know why I say this in? You know, at the point, during the second term of the president,
yes,
that President Obasanjo, now, there was no doubt that during the first term, they had very good relationship.
Yes.
But
the period between the first and second term, when the party needed to choose a candidate, former governor of Abia State, Ojuzo Kalu, had led other governors to Atiku and prevailed on him to challenge President Obasanjo.
Even as at that time.
At that time. And there were reports that Obasanjo at the point had to go to Atiku
and begged him
to say, why don't I take a second?
And so at that time, people said he had planned that I was going to demystify this person.
Yeah. And when he came,
cut him to size.
He cut him to size. So, I mean, we know some of these things happen. But the reality is that when you now put everything together, you will understand that some of the things these people are telling us now, of course, he could have been privy to certain information and he could have taken some steps. Look at what happened in Anambra State, where the attempt to remove Ngige was aborted by Atiku. A central figure in that government. The president wanted Ngige removed.
And he makes sure that it doesn't.
It didn't happen.
And Atiku made sure it didn't happen. The president wanted a third term, even though he has denied.
And Atiku quashed it.
Atiku was against it.
And worked to ensure it never happened.
Of course, you remember the PTDF thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
That led to that open
kind of worms.
And so there are all kind of issues. Again, let them forget about who has betrayed who. They should think about us that they have betrayed over the years.
Yes.
We are victims of their betrayal, and they can see
in terms of performance and dividends of democracy.
But what?
Yes.
To be candid.
Who betrayed who? From the analysis.
To be candid.
Or
both of them they betrayed us. And they will betray themselves too. But in that area of 2003 general election, don't let us deceive ourselves. With the kind of power, because there won't be any president that will exercise presidential power in Nigeria
at
again.
That time, yeah.
Like 𝗪𝗏 𝗪𝗏 𝗪𝗏. At that time, with the power that he has,
if you wanted to take Lagos,
you will take Lagos. Don't let us even deceive ourselves on that particular one, because we know how the election was being written. How at times the election of return is one that those people that even registered in that we know at that particular time. Then another time in that particular period also, don't forget that there was a kind of alignment. Also, don't forget that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar knew Bola Ahmed Tinubu before 1998. He knew him before then. Don't forget that PDM at that particular time. But one thing that is so certain there is this: there could be an of Esau, because at that time is a heist. In fact, according to the information we got at that particular time, that this Southwest, the machinery to take over the whole Southwest, that the chairman is even the vice president at that time, Atiku Abubakar. So if he's talking from that particular avenue, it's possible. One thing there is that
what could have been his reason? Again, he was a PDP member, the vice president. The mandate was take the entire Southwest. What could have been his political reason to have said, okay, leave Lagos?
You know one thing about politicians.
On being the president of Nigeria.
So
the calculation has started.
What was the need for the alliance at that time?
The calculation has started
Tinubu,
because he
knew that at a particular time. Okay, look at it for instance. How did you think? Let me give you this. When the current president, and when he was a governor, even after he left the office, I have said this severally. I don't know what is going to happen in the next 2-3 years when another election, but with my prediction from 1999 till date, that governorship election for PDP to win in Lagos State, and I always predict it every year. In 1999 I did, 2003 I did, 2007 I did, 2011 I did, 2015 I did. You know the reason? Somebody that is in AP from AD, AC, ACN, that is even paying the salary of some certain chieftain in another party, to the extent that the perennial governorship candidate of opposition party at that time is even collecting contracts
from the government,
from him. So
how would they win?
What happened is that there are some certain politicians, when they know that at a particular time I'm going to contest. Look at Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He said that he has been longing to be president for long. So the planning at all those somebody in PDP, he will go to the ceremony, he will assist them. So at that time, Atiku will have known that come at a particular time, I want to become president, and I need alliances.
No, where I'm going is this. By Sakote, I get what you're trying to say, Nuruddin, but look at it by Sakote. The PDP, Atiku was in the good books of the president at that time. No issues.
Yes.
And so let us assume, like you said, that look, what we heard was that even the mandate to take the entire Southwest was given to him. And they succeeded in taking 5 states.
Yes, out of 6.
Now, the argument of, look, I left Lagos, for me, I'm like, how reasonable would that have been? Because, look, if they had taken Lagos, Lagos would have been a PDP state, and it would have been a state for their party. Yeah. So what could have been, what was the logic behind? Because I'm trying to say, maybe he was just trying to play to the gallery with that kind of story.
Politicians will tell you that when they killed that snake, they gave the people the legs. They know the snakes don't have legs.
So there could have been some embellishment.
Embellishment
of the story.
The truth of the matter was that it wasn't even Atiku that took over the Southwest. It was an attempt by the people of Southwest to come together and give their son a bearing. Because what Obasanjo was facing at Abuja that time, all the time, was that
you do have a base.
For the Curtis, I disagree with you on this one.
Okay, I'm coming.
The tsunami was
the tsunami.
So what happened was that the president himself had met key politicians
to form some form of alliances.
Yes, to believe, and in fact, the then sitting governors. Look at the.
You know the alliances. I remember
when they said they should vote for president,
vote for president, PDP,
and the governor,
and the backfire.
How come that the distance, President Curtis, at that particular time, this is what happened.
I think we know the number.
We know the number of results that the result declared. It's not that those people that registered in that particular place.
Okay,
let's just hear him out.
What happened was that the president then, Obasanjo, had entered into an alliance
with the governors of the Southwest.
With the governors of the Southwest. And details of the alliance were simple. You will get your people to vote for me in the presidential election. And I can also talk about it in Abuja and say, I'm not president because Northerners alone voted for me. Because the story was that you voted for 𝗬𝗀 and rejected me in the South.
Well, and now my region behind
Meanwhile, I will support you to win the governorship elections in your state. That was the alliance. But the president had another plan. And somehow,
twist them.
It was only
Tinubu that got the no.
Who said, this man cannot be trusted. I will not.
I would rather lose my presidential election.
And lost in Lagos.
Yeah, because he said that it is difficult to get these voters who are not completely enlightened.
And I think at that time, the two elections happened on the same day.
Yes.
He said
president and governor.
Yes. But
you know, to get voters
let me now tell you. I understand. But let me now tell you one thing. Do you know that at that time, sir, President Sɣᴑ Obasanjo, his polling unit in front of his house in Itaiko, African Church Grammar School, Afrograms, he has never
won that place
until 𝗵𝗫 period in 2015.
No, what we are saying
where I'm now going is that at that time we know how 𝗪𝗪 fight. It's not about that election alone. What characterized in that election was not even an election at all.
Widespread rigging.
In fact,
it's still the same thing.
Let me tell you what he knew that he could also rig and didn't need the support.
How come he did not rig in 1999?
I'm coming, sir.
No, he was not in power.
What happened was that he knew that he can also use the instrumentality of INEC and rig that
but when you are popular in a place, it's easier to rig.
Are you forgetting that it was Maurice Iwu that supervised that election?
He didn't want to cause a lot of 𝗪𝗧 in this state. So he went and cut a deal with the governors and said, you support me, and I also ensure that you retain your position. Unfortunately, he had another plan that they were not aware of. President Tinubu, then Governor Tinubu, knew that he couldn't trust Obasanjo.
And then to guide the votes
yes, because
do you know the number of soldiers?
Because it was difficult.
Do you know the number of soldiers? Do you know how he even went on the day of election to a governorship candidate that is also contesting? He went to his house. Have you forgotten?
Let me now ask you, Nurudi, how did he lose Lagos? How did Obasanjo lose Lagos at that time?
What happened? With all the soldiers.
With all the soldiers and the rigging and everything that you are talking about.
Number one, in his government, there are some certain people that supported the Lagos governor at that particular time. Don't let us deceive ourselves. Okay. Do you know that they pump a lot of soldiers?
What we're saying is that, look, even if he had moles working for the governor of Lagos State at that time,
let me tell you what happened.
Didn't he have the state apparatus to have still been able to do what he wanted to do in Lagos?
He has.
Let me tell you what happened.
He has.
Some of the key leaders of 𝗪𝗪 and AD that were actually part of the deal with Obasanjo. You know,
sold out.
You know, apart from you know that Bola Tinubu, as governor of Lagos, then had taken over their political machinery from them.
Yeah, people
within Lagos.
Yes.
People like Baba
Ganiu Daudu,
let me tell you, when he was having problem with Ganiu Daudu, he appointed his son as commissioner of education.
Just to shank the man. So the alliances in Lagos did not work. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
Because you see, he said he was not going to be part of the alliance.
All right, let's move.
The president could not be trusted.
It's still Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is 𝗪𝗂 Fuhad. We have been looking at this issue of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the press conference, the CSU, all the betrayals, what happened in 2003.
Tell them to come together and help ordinary Nigerians.
I think one of the things we've agreed on the issue of betrayal is that, look, Nigerians are the most betrayed.
We are the most betrayed.
The politicians have betrayed themselves, but 1999 till they will be betrayed heavily, and things must change. We are streaming the show live. We're on Facebook and we're on YouTube. So you can actually join the show by dropping your comments on the two platforms. On Facebook, Mainland 98.3 FM. A lot of comments have dropped already, on our Facebook platform. I'm sure going to take all of those comments. So if you want to be a part of the show, it's interactive. We're still going to open the phone lines, but again, you can start to be a part of the show by dropping your comments on our Facebook and YouTube platform. I can see that Shakiru Agumbiade has already dropped a comment that Chris Chichi, Solomon Asogba, Basil Chika, Solomon Ogechukwu Samson, Unwood Austin, Benson Ritchie, Moni 𝗪𝗪ᴏ have all dropped comments. So if you want to be a part of the show, like I said, you can drop your comments on our Facebook platform, Mainland 98.3 FM. Let's just quickly, I think 10 minutes, so that we can open the phone lines and then begin to take comments and contributions from our listeners this evening. The CJN Justice 𝗀𝗃𝗃 Ariwoola said that, look, there's a problem with public opinion now, seemingly trying to override court judgments, to the extent that he even believes that some judges are beginning to car. I think we even saw some states where some judges decided, to give judgment via Zoom, some of them talked about threats to their lives. Some of them maybe because they are afraid of public opinion and the sentimentalities that were associated with the cases at the state level and all of that. And I think what he was trying to do was to encourage the judges to be bold and only rule based on the law and not minding what public opinion was on any matter before them. And one would think that would have been, the right thing for the CJN to tell the judges and the justices that will be working at the different courts in Nigeria. But the question for us here, Barrister Curtis, and thank God you're a lawyer, is, look, what is the challenge really? What would you say is the immediate challenge of the justice system in Nigeria? Is it public opinion that is the problem? Are there issues with the justice system that you are taught that the CJN should have addressed, rather than focusing on the influence of public opinion on court proceedings and judgments in Nigeria?
So, what the CJN said was right, but the timing was wrong.
Okay.
And that is why we are talking about it in the first place. If the CJN had come out at ordinary times to say judges will always be guided by the law and the rules and not by public opinion, that statement is a statement of fact. As you know, we've been having problems with the judiciary. I think over 20 years now. And this became very prominent as a result of political activities. Don't forget that political cases are not the only cases that courts in Nigeria handle. But because they are time bound, there are certain things that have to happen within certain time when it's politics. Either somebody lost the party primaries, it's going all the way to the Supreme Court. The court, of course, had to decide before the election and all that, and because these are cases coming out from divisive issues like elections, you are bound to have very hot opinions, and that's what you see. But I don't think that judges and the justices should be too worried about what people are saying.
The public opinion. But for the CJN, you have highlighted it in his speech.
And the reason why he's doing that, because before the presidential tribunal gave his judgment, there was this thing that started all eyes on the court. All eyes on the
judiciary, yeah.
All eyes on the judiciary, and the judges were not too happy with that.
They even referenced it. They made mention.
Yeah, but the truth of the matter is that the judges and the justices must also understand that their rulings and judgments will be subject to the perception of the society in which they live. Okay? Now, even lawyers and justices themselves have had reasons to question some judgments coming out of our courts in recent years. Let me give you an example, for instance. An Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Oliver Wendell Holmes, had cause to say at some point, while addressing a lawyer who was appearing before them, said, young man, I hope you know that the court of law is not a court of justice. In other words, it's not every judgment that comes out of the court that meets the call of justice.
As determined by who now?
Because when you apply the law, you see, sometimes the law is unemotional.
Yeah.
Now, when you see the insignia of law practice,
Closing the eye,
whose eyes are covered,
hold the sword.
she's supposed to do justice without emotion, without taking sides
Don't
with
see
anybody.
anything.
You apply the law. Now, does the society believe that the law has been rightly applied? And that's where the problem is.
That will no concern court.
Yes, that's where the problem is. And the problem is that the judge is the one who heard evidence. And is the judge who decides
whether the evidence is
what weight to attach to
the evidence
he has heard.
based on the law, just discretion.
Based on the law.
Based on the law, okay.
And that's why the law is like a sword. It can two-edged sword. It can swing and cut on both sides. So what I would rather say to the CJN is that he should clean up the judiciary. Because, see, don't forget that he also has been in the eye of the storm. Oh, he was alleged to have met the president somewhere in London where they talked about, you understand?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And before him, Justice Onohe also was said to have met with Atiku in Dubai. And people said that was the reason why he was removed then. And after Justice Onohe, the man who took over, Tanko Yusuf,
also had
his own issue. So with all this put together, with all this put together, you cannot expect the people to have the best opinion of the judiciary.
But does their opinion matter?
Of course, it does matter.
It should matter.
These judges live in the society.
They are Nigerians too.
They live in the society. They understand what is going on. Do you understand? Look at the case of Ahmed Lawa, for instance. Even lawyers, senior lawyers,
they were dumbfounded.
They were very, very angry.
Now, this was a man who ran to be president. At the time he was running to be president, the primaries for the senatorial contest was also going on. He lost. One Michika, Machina picked that.
He said it was a place. That was where the name placeholder came up.
Picked the ticket. Now, the party came out and said, we gave a form to all our candidates where they signed and undertook to withdraw if the party wants them to withdraw. And Machina said he didn't do that he didn't sign that form.
Maybe somebody did for him, but he didn't do it.
So he was replaced with Ahmed Lawa, and the matter went to court. Now the court didn't deal with the facts of the matter.
Yes.
The court chose technicality. Saying that the manner in which the suit was commenced was wrong. And to that extent...
That's all of the facts behind it.
And left all the facts. And to that extent, the name that the party had submitted to INEC...
The party has the right to submit the name.
The name.
And that's all.
That was all.
That's all.
Irrespective of any other fact.
Yes. Why that of 𝗪𝗶𝗄 was more... was a different thing altogether because according to... After 𝗪𝗶𝗄 lost or he stepped down...
He ran back.
And then decided to participate in another
election.
Apparently, after they've nullified
that
the previous one.
That INEC did not attend, or INEC representative didn't attend.
So we have kind of judgments. You can't blame the people.
Now look at it this way: if an election held and somebody was declared a winner, and that election result was challenged in court, right? You left the man who won the election. If you say he didn't meet the qualification, either to third in local governments and all that, you left him, right? You bypass the number 2, you bypass the number 3,
and give the position to number 4.
Number 4.
You be governor.
How would an ordinary man,
I'm with you,
who does not understand how the law works and the principles of law that were applied to arrive at that destination, how will he understand? He will simply tell you that something untoward happened. And this is why it is important that the judges and the justices also take into consideration, what is happening in the country, in giving their judgment. And of course, in the past, they have been influenced too judges and justices have been influencing their judgment.
Of course,
by prevailing public opinion.
The NJC have also complained about. Yeah,
so the CJN should look inwards.
There's a need for a cleanup of the house. All right, no, in 2 minutes, because again, I'm sure the line is buzzing. We have a lot of messages to deal with, you know, and all of that. So, but again, Mr. Kois have just said he's a lawyer, and I think the facts are there that some house cleaning needs to be done at the level of the judiciary, if you understand what I'm saying. And so, what is CJN said? Simple logic, one would say, oh, the right thing to be said. You can't sway decisions of the court based on public opinion. But there are people who have said that, look, the law in itself should be about public interest. And public interest sometimes you can gauge with public opinion. And the law in itself is about the people. If the judiciary is an arm of democracy, which is the government of the people, for the people and by the people. So where do you think the balance should come from? Where can we, how do we achieve the balance in what the CJN is saying, and for people who think that, look, the law again should be about public interest, which you can gauge sometimes with public opinion?
One thing there is just like Barrister Curtis rightly said, don't forget that all these judges, justices, they are Nigerians too, and they are living among us. They see things, they hear things, they listen to news, they watch news, they see events. So what I think the CJN should be able to do now is this, because we've seen a lot of examples. We've seen a governor that alleged to have submitted a fake result. And as we speak, he's still a governor. We have a series of, do you know that there are some certain magistrates, chief magistrates in our judicial system, that some people have blackmailed them? Don't forget, if you like, apply to be a judge in high court, forget, you are not going to give you. You know how because of the antecedent, where some people, they will say, no, he doesn't listen, he or she doesn't listen to people. Even if you call her on a case in front of her to swing to our side, he will not swing to our side.
He's been very
so because of that, don't worry, we are waiting for you, come and we are not going to. So even the promotion of all these judges, a situation in which it is important that anybody that is a high there of justice, his children to become a judge is very, very easy. So one thing that the CJN needs to do a lot of
looking what.
Then another thing again is what? Then there are some certain judgments. Even if everybody is not a lawyer, people who have common sense.
Like what somebody said, he said, look, when I'm sorry that my Curtis may have to just allow me to say this, that look, why is that lawyers bamboozle with some manner of law, legalities and all of that? Look, law is not rocket science.
I know that one of our listeners is listening to this. You remember my view about the judgment of the tribunal judgment against during the time of Oyetola, and I said that's
the split judgment.
That the minority judgment. I read it because I have to take a student.
That was the one that first favored the Oyetola. Yes. That was the state tribunal.
The one that favored the Adeleke. I read it thoroughly, and I said that if this should go to appeal, there is no way this guy is not going to win, because it's well thorough. One thing there is that we've seen a lot of judgments that even if you are not a lawyer and you have common sense, look at the one that happens in Imo State. Let's assume the person that scored first will ask issue. Second call, third call. You now give somebody that took fourth without having the highest number of votes. Then the issue of removing numbers, and don't forget there are some certain judgments that come out of the tribunal that even you are not even a lawyer, and you look at the permutation and combination, and you look at what they've listed. Do you know there are some certain states that during the verification of the voting whatever, they say marker. They are using marker to vote like this.
So again, I think we just have to agree, because I want to open the phone lines.
I think part of the problem is that our electoral integrity is challenged. You know that elections are conducted in other parts of the world. Now, other than 2020, where Trump had sought to cancel elections in some states where he alleged rigging, how many people go to court after election in the US? Do you hear about that? Even in Ghana here, how many people go to court to challenge the outcome?
The president will just pack his thing and go.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, even in Kenya is where we have witnessed some challenges, but that's even principally at the presidential level.
And it's just one for all.
Yes, and the judge, the Constitutional Court, whether the other time it was Raila Odinga who challenged Uhuru Kenyatta's and the Constitutional Court nullified that election and ordered a new election. Okay, even how that the one between Raila Odinga and President Ruto was also very close.
Very close, yeah.
Margin was very thin, but the Constitutional Court way down in his favor, and he was sworn in immediately. But what we have here is that our process is so convoluted and so complex that even cases emanating from the party primaries, who was disqualified,
who was
not allowed,
we'll go to court.
Who was chosen,
even nominations, primaries,
and all that
before even the election,
and all this helped to clog the court. And then because of desperate people wanting
too much pressure,
wanting power at all costs, they go to bribe judges. And of course, people talk about judges, okay, like Justice Oputa said, if an armed robber kills people, he's done something bad. If a politician is corrupt, okay, you say there can be salvation in the judiciary. But if a judge is corrupt, where do people go?
So where do you take him now?
And what is happening is that like in every strata of the society, you also have judges who are bad. And sometimes the money on offer is too much. The judge will look at it and say, even if I serve my term
for 100 years
and I'm 70 and I retire,
will I get this
1/10 of this I can't get.
In foreign currency.
And here is somebody who is desperate to be governor, or who is already governor and wants to.
And I can just deliver this judgment and move on.
And it's offering this.
Even if I'm suspended,
1 billion.
I'll see.
You understand?
All right. So we can't again. I'm sure that
so we need to do a wholesome,
a total overhauling
of our electoral process,
which also involves the judicial part of it.
Yes.
I'm sure there will be issues that will, of course, bring it to the table again for us to look at our justice system, the electoral. I keep talking about electoral reforms. I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it on Political RoundTable.
Sorry, and the other thing too is our morality. You see, it's not everything that the law prescribes. You see, in some places, in other parts of the world, once your position becomes untenable, you don't even need to be told to resign.
To resign, you just, moral grounds.
Out of honor.
No, we don't resign.
You resign.
I think the only person who resign would have been 𝗪𝗫 𝗫𝗫. And people say that she wasn't raised here. So she's not from here. But again, a story for another day. 09136. 09136 0000410. 09136 0000410. Mainland 98.3 FM. Political RoundTable. Yeah, good evening.
Sorry. Good evening, Fab.
We are going to make it one minute.
You've taken much of our time.
Yes, we'll make it one minute.
I'm Kayode from Abeokuta. Let me go straight.
All right.
Nuruddin, I want to agree with you about the person in trial. Our president is on trial. It's not anything to do with Nigerians. As I am telling you, I have my own certificate intact. And if I want to become the president of the country, I will take it off from primary school down to the higher degree, tertiary institution, university. Let me say this. You see, if we care to know, look at the register of that school. It told us so many things inside these depositions. It said a certain Bola A, not Ahmed, now, Tinubu, attended Chicago University. There's no doubt about it. But the missing point there is the fact that he did not finish because of what? There was a peculiar course that is supposed to pass. That is English EE 222.
The deposition said, look, he finished, he graduated. He has the transcript, so don't let us again too many things.
No problem. We'll get to know later. But that's another fashion. Anyway, no problem. We'll get to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. God bless you. 09136 0000410. Hello, good evening.
Oga Fuad, good evening. Good evening, Barrister. Good evening, 𝗪𝗫. This is Joseph on the line.
Oh, Mr. Joseph, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. I think I've been enjoying the conversation. But I want to just
ask. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from my house.
Where is your house?
I'm calling from 𝗪𝗪𝗪 in Solo.
Okay.
Big
Please
man
go on.
area.
Barrister Curtis, I'm really enjoying your lecture and 𝗪𝗪𝗫. But the question I want to ask is, in all this with the certificate, what of the money that will be paying NIA, this CCB, they call it Code of Conduct Bureau, we have the DSS. I would say we have security agency, our own security agency, like the FBI. Yes.
Of the
so what is the role of all this? What is the role of NIA, Code of Conduct Bureau, maybe intelligence unit of the police, then the almighty DSS or SSS? Because assuming they do what they're supposed to do, I think Nigeria will not even get to this stage. They will just provide those information to all the respective agencies. Is it the INEC? Is it the party? And so I think by now what I'm just thinking is I'm afraid of the way the dollar rate, the pound rate, the euro rate compared to naira, the insecurity in the farm that people cannot go to farm.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Joseph.
these are just distractions. Seriously.
All right, thank you. Again,
Thank you.
I think we're just saying that, look, is that we don't verify anything.
The problem is that these institutions that are supposed to be independent have become some Zoom to other politics.
So sometimes they don't do their job well.
Whoever, for instance, how do the DSS go through the documents of a ministerial candidate?
And she didn't finish NY. She's still serving.
And they did not know.
And then the same candidate goes to the Senate. The Senate also will not find.
And they say they've done screening.
No, and a ministerial nominee that even schooled, that has certificate, but was not cleared.
Yeah.
What I'm even saying is that how did you screen someone and the person is still serving?
So we are saying the same thing. That look, what is done there is
just ceremonial.
It's ceremonial because these institutions are also politicized.
All right. Okay. 09136000410. Hello. Good evening. Hello. All right. 09136000410. I can see message dropping on Facebook. I'll take them. Hello. Good evening.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Fuad and our own barrister. It's Mohammed Abbas from Ikeja.
Yeah, Mohammed, please go.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I don't want to go into this our country problem. We know this our president is just manipulate with INEC.
Mohammed, don't wait now, Mohammed. Let's take that back. Let's not say anything that is not verifiable or substantial. Nothing has been established. Let's just be clear about that. So, say what you want to say now. So let's just take that out of the conversation.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. I want to talk about the Palestinian issue also.
Oh, it's not on the focus. It's not on the focus.
I know, but you touch on it from the beginning a bit.
I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we know what's happening. Those of us are Muslim, and you too, you know it. But I don't want to go to the detail because of the insensitivity of this issue.
That's why we should just leave it.
Yes, we know what's happening, and inshallah, we will remain, inshallah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
ma'am. And then certificate issue. Yeah. Certificate issue is that this particular issue is fraud. Okay. But the Nigerian judiciary will not help us. That's the issue. Nigerian judiciary is not going to help us.
It's okay, thank you, Mohammed. I didn't want, but the thing is that on the Israel-Palestine issue, I think people should know that it's not about religion. There are too many things around the issue.
A lot of things.
My 10-year-old son, I woke up midnight watching the whole thing happen, and he woke up and sat down with me and he asked me, "Why are they fighting?" 10-year-old boy. And I didn't even know the answer.
You cannot tell
you know what I said? They are fighting over land. And he was like, land.
You cannot tell him that they be fighting since.
It didn't even make sense to him that land.
I think the issue. I think there is the issue of humanity.
When I told you they are fighting over land, the boy was like, land. There's land everywhere now. So let's just leave that issue. 091. Okay. Hello. Good evening.
Hello, my family.
Good evening, Prince Wise.
Not with you all. You have to have one main program.
Prince Wise. You have one. Look, the complaint is taking part of your time. You should have just called and say what you want to say.
I may not say anything.
Because we can't change the complaint. Wait now, Prince Wise. Prince Wise, we decide when to open the phone line. You cannot decide that for us.
Let me say something.
All right. So please just comment.
Criticizing people. Let us criticize you for what?
No, this is not criticism. You are trying to teach us our job, and we own the show.
You invite people to come.
It's a privilege to call.
We want to tell you what we feel.
You are wasting 1 minute, Prince
Wise. Not a baby. May God bless Nigeria. But let me say something. Number one, Palestine and Israel. The fourth is for United Nations. since 1948. Why can't they give Palestine their own country? And this latest one, I will blame Palestine. Why use some small hand to draw like a hand? You throw this into the Israel, you kill their people, they are not retaliating. Who will not bear the card now? He is not a nation. That's for that. For the certificate, all majority of politicians in this country, they lack moral. When you talk of moral. This time not around. Who take us to the world now? It's not Atiku. They not say our nurse in London, in America, and not tell them to bring a certificate. If Atiku not go to America for verification of a certificate,
nobody would have known.
Let them go to Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the free that mediates between all of them. Anything come out from Supreme Court is what the Nigeria will believe in. Good evening to you.
Right. Thank you, Prince Wise. I wanted to ask Prince Wise a question, but he will say I'm meeting part of his time.
Even the Atiku himself, people said, well, does he even have the capacity to challenge another person?
But I was going to ask Prince Wise, but he will say I'm meeting part of his time, so I allowed it. I wanted to ask him that why would you blame Atiku? If politicians have submitted the right result,
he even has the right as the opposition, even contesting the election.
Game of advantage.
So if he sees there's an advantage in digging into that,
and he has the right to go to court. He has the right to verify, and he has done that.
All right, let's just take messages on Facebook because again, I promised I was going to take all the messages, and we're running out of time. I start with 𝗪𝗫𝘀𝗪 who said, "War again. They should negotiate and come over it. Power supply to Israel was cut. To Palestine, not to Israel." Wood in Austin is saying Atiku should publish his certificate from primary school. It will enable us to compare who is better between Tinubu and Atiku. I don't think Atiku has any credential issues, academic qualification issues. If he has, it would have been in the public space.
Then I published my own and they were attacking me.
𝗪𝗪 Samson, while responding to Wood, is saying keep on defending the defensible. Then Benson Richie saying good evening, my great people in the studio. We greet you too. Owudu Austin says good analysis by Barrister Curtis on Tinubu Certificate saga. Please, Barrister, what can you tell us about Atiku's certificate?
My brother, I don't know Atiku's certificate.
Because nobody has
challenged it.
But Atiku is not claiming that he went to university, though.
He just used primary, secondary.
Yes.
And leaves it there.
And diploma.
He doesn't want 𝗪𝗀.
Yeah, of course.
All right, we have 𝗪𝗪 Samson who is saying, why is everything about this man so controversial? I guess he's talking about the president. No primary school, no. He has. The questions is there are too many questions.
He didn't disclose them. And the one he disclosed, they are challenging him.
He has. He didn't disclose it.
So he says he has, but he didn't disclose it.
He said he has.
So the diplomat certificate, state of origin. Okay, well. Then we have 𝗪𝗫 𝗪𝗪 who is saying CSU Certificate saga is within Atiku's right to pursue it to logical conclusion for clarity. Then whatever the Supreme Court decided will be there for posterity to judge. But they must be careful because the outcome will shape a very long precedent in our jurisprudence, either right or wrong. The whole world is watching. Chika Bende from Trade Lagos. Samson Asok by saying Chief Bola Ahmed, in quotes now, 𝗪𝗛 Tinubu 𝗪𝗫. Well, I don't know. Then we have Chris Chi, we say the saga is really disappointing. My fear and doubts goes to the judiciary. The judiciary is full of drama. Let's wait and see the outcome. God bless Nigeria. Happy Sunday. God bless you to Chris Chichi. We have Shakira Agumbiade who is saying, Barrister Curtis Adiba, remember Peter Obi only tendered his 𝗪𝗫 certificate. Are you saying he has something to hide too?
No. The law doesn't even require you to tender a university certificate.
Yeah, so he tenders what he wants to tender.
Peter just tendered what he felt he was comfortable with.
But don't tender what is not going to be verifiable.
Oh, there's got a problem.
So, have you, Shakira, have you gone to a secondary school to verify and they say they don't know him?
But Barrister Curtis, I wouldn't graduate as from the university.
And I would not keep a certificate.
What happened?
Well, it's a matter of choice and preference.
Which kind of choice is
that? Like I've always said, the devil is in the details.
Okay.
So don't go. See, let me tell you, don't carry solution and look for problem.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I understand.
So carry solution to look for problem.
So just play safe.
When there's problem, look for solution.
All right. Let's take more calls. I think we still have more time to take a few more calls. And then we'll conclude by taking message on Facebook. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Fuhad. Good evening to
Good evening, sir.
Mr. Ariwoola and Mr. Curtis.
Your name, sir?
My name is Emmanuel. I'm calling from Buta.
Please go on, sir.
So the another dimension to this certificate saga is about the 𝗪𝗀. the _NYC, hey, _NYC stipulate adequately, and if we confirm the Wikipedia page of Mr. President has been updated.
Yes.
Updated.
Well, you are not sure that he's the one who did it. Anybody can go there and update.
Yeah, and it will be accepted. And you know, in Yoruba land, we have so many names. If I tell you the number of names I have, we will not leave the show.
But the only thing you need to know that was not done before until when this issue came up. So it's a kind of a coincidence.
We know.
It's a kind of coincidence, of course.
The Supreme Court will decide. Let's just leave it.
Okay, just like Barrister Court said, the Atiku team should have been focused more on the government college certificate. Of course, part of the issue. If you listen to that the press conference, the Kalu loyal to Atiku mentioned it. So it was there. They are just trying to combine everything together so that they can fight their case. So on the CJN statement, just unfortunately, if you remember very well, before the ruling of Nancy Maldonado, she said something. She said she has been receiving several calls that the interest of Nigeria is very significant. So of course. So you cannot separate public opinion from the law. Of course, even the law is talking about there are a lot of lacunas which happen to, our political take advantage of. So public opinion must also have a place in whatever law they are giving out, and of which even the law the CJN is talking about is rooted in our constitution. Even the constitution is given to us by the military.
All right, thank you, Emmanuel.
Of course.
What is feedback about?
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. God bless
feedback,
you.
Not public opinion.
Review.
Feedback. Companies from.
But it cannot sway the hand of the law. That's what the CJN is saying.
No, nobody's asking him to do so.
He can't even do.
People are just expressing their concern,
and they have a right to do that.
And they have to, so he should go and clean up his own house.
Sources of our constitution, public opinion is part of it.
All right, 09136000410. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Dr. Fuhad, well, I give you that honor.
I don't get doctorate certificate. I don't.
No, that's this one.
Are you afraid?
I listen to you every day, and you keep me going.
Thank you.
So that's why that's you, Dr. Fuhad.
Okay, honorary.
Print a certificate for him. Good evening.
I'll print it for him. Good evening, sir. I'm
good evening.
Your name, sir?
My name is Odia from Mushin.
Odia.
Odia
from Mushin. Okay, please go on, sir.
Sir, the question is, I don't understand. Is it that there is no truth anywhere again in this country, or I don't understand? It keeps hitting me every day. It keeps hitting me. Is it that even from the three arms of government or from any aspect of government, the truth does not exist anymore? We are not cows. We are not animals that somebody will now direct us one morning and say, go this way. The other person will now say, go this way. Is it that there is no truth? That is my own. Oh. Thank you very much.
Well, the issue of truth, I don't think we can conclude on that. 0913600. And the definition of truth in this context. Hello, good evening.
Okay, hello, good evening, Mr. Fuad. Good evening, Barrister Curtis. Good evening, Mr. Joseph. My name is Solomon.
Yes,
I'm calling from Bagada. Okay, all right. So, as much as possible, personally, I just decided not to, look into this whole CSU conversation. I just waiting for what the justice will say, because again, we have a situation where our justice system, we don't even know if we can trust the justice system. But the reality here is that, just like Barrister said, we Nigerians are the most betrayed here, and that is the fact. A question readily comes to mind, that what if, President Bola Tinubu, when he was inaugurated as a president, there was conscious effort to better the life of the ordinary people. We see timelines of things that are to come, projects, and we are like, okay, this is a promising government. Do you think people really care about this CSU?
Maybe it will change the public opinion on the issue. That's what you're saying.
Mr. Fuad, that's the reality.
It probably won't have
traction. Now, exactly. So now what do we have? We have a situation where we don't even know what to look out for, and we are just looking out for anything that will come, and that is just better than the current situation. That's just my own opinion.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Solomon. I think we can take one more call, and then we'll just conclude with messages and then the final opinion on the table. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Fuad.
Yeah, the final call this evening. Good evening, sir.
Larry Bashir.
Oh, Larry Bashir, please go on.
Yes, Mr. Rapus, let me chip in this. Yes. I sent you YouTube message. I didn't read it.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah. Please, please, I just want to chip in this. Yesterday, that program, 𝗪𝗪𝗡,
yes.
That man calling that program intended to be tutored on balanced reportage.
Okay, let's go on with that. Let's
all right.
Let's talk
now
about
on the Tinubu's papers, certificate. Alhaji Atiku has achieved this aim. He has gotten what he needs. Even if the Supreme Court says they are taking the new evidences, no problem. Tinubu will win it. And even if Supreme Court says no, Tinubu dare not try to come back for a second term because the evidences are already there that is forged certificate. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you, 𝗪𝗪𝗏. I think that will be the last call for the evening. But I have some messages too.
𝗪𝗪𝗏 came back home.
He came back home.
And he adjusted.
𝗪𝗪𝗏 came back
And he adjusted. He adjusted the thing. So we have Temple the Prince.
Adeleke came back home.
And he adjusted too. We have Temple the Prince saying, "Good evening, Mr. Fuhad and great panelists in the house tonight. Mr. Fuhad, I don't think this Atiku effort will change anything legally, and this action of the Atiku might likely end his political career." Well,
it's already ended at 70 something.
Because this is the last chance really. I just his age, it will be 80 plus before the next election. Tijani Afolabi is saying, "I'm highly disappointed about Barrister Curtis' analysis about Atiku discovery in the court about the president's certificate. If it were to be Peter Obi that make this discovery, would he be talking like this?"
You know what? You are the one who control what disappoints you and what does not disappoint you. So it doesn't bother me.
But I just have to read out.
I just restated to you what the discovery shows.
And the facts of the case.
And my rationalization. So you can be disappointed if you want. Well, that's up to you.
We have Aziz Razak who is saying, "Good evening, crew. Please, this INEC did INEC release President Tinubu certificate to Atiku lawyer to present in court? Because I don't know how CSU register knows that the certificate presented by President is not from the school. I think part of the document.
INEC documents are public documents.
They can write and collect it.
Yes. So he has gotten an answer to that question. So that was how they knew that I didn't tally it. So we have Prince Shola Shodeke saying, "Good evening. Good evening. I disagree with the suggestion of calling for judgment to allow public opinion to influence their judgment. Did you know that the real majority of so-called public do not listen to the radio nor cordial radio shows? The law should just be the law. After all these politicians are the same morally or otherwise. Let the current president breathe. Let the current president breathe." He's calling for the current president to breathe. We should allow him give him some slack.
Well,
and his own opinion.
At least my leg is not on his
on his neck.
I don't know.
So others will breathe at their own time. Okay? Or
and you want the law to be
prefer their own acts. We have Sunday on Noja. We say, "Good evening, sir. You people are doing a nice job. Thank you so much." And then I think let me conclude with 𝗪𝗪𝗏 on this message. We say, "Saheed, do you know that SSN or Southwest College did prove that certificate belongs to a female?" No, there's no proof yet. I think that will be. Barrister Curtis is your final thing because we need to go.
You know,
just 1 minute.
I think what most Nigerians don't understand is that whenever you say something that they don't like, they are disappointed. Everything that I said, the only opinion that was mine was simply the fact that I believe that the problem with all that they have revealed is in that secondary school result. If that was the basis for admission. So if anybody wants to be disappointed with that, so be it. But here is the important thing. We are entitled to our opinions, but we are not entitled to our own facts.
Yes, so the facts are the facts, irrespective of your opinions. Nuruddin, your final thing.
Well, to me, I think I congratulate Atiku Abubakar. One of the reasons there is I think we need more of the opponents of our politicians to always be digging deep, so that we'll be able to know more about those people that we voted for. It's very, very important, so that at least what is important there is that if you have only primary school certificate, present it so far as genuine, and with 10 years working experience you have, you move on, and nobody's going to harass you. That it is important. Let us be checking the certificate of all these politicians. It's very, very important for us.
All right, Solomon Asogwa is saying, "Please, Mr. Fuad, help us drop your handles on social media so some of us can follow." Well, for Mainland FM is Mainland 98.3 FM on all social media platforms. Just search it. You find us there. For me, my name is my social media handle. Just Saheed Fuhad. Nuruddin, there are people who want to follow you on social media. Use your name. My name is Saheed Fuhad. You find me there. Mr. Cotty.
I know good.
Just check 𝗪𝗁𝗁 Adigba. You find him on Facebook. I think he's very active on Facebook. So if you want to follow him, and most of his thoughts are actually published on his Facebook page, so you might get a lot of his opinion on issues if you follow him on Facebook. Well, this is where we call it today, Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. Let's do this again next week.